My name is Katharina Seidler from Resource Yourself, and today's video is on fear. The first thing that we need to understand is that the traditional way of looking at fear, like a character trait, is really something that isn't so helpful. And for us energy psychologists and sensitives, we know that energy is really just a state that we experience, just an energy in our system. And it's important to know that any person that has this kind of energy in the system will make the same kind of conclusions, have the same kind of actions, and the same kinds of sensations in their body. And if you realize that it's not that you're a fearful person or that you have a problem with fear, but that it's just an energy in your system that you can release and that you can let go of, that's already winning a lot, because then you don't identify with the fear, which makes it even more permanent if you think, I am a fearful person, I always have this fear. That's the first thing I wanted to share. And then when I think about fear, I realize that there are so many different levels on which we can process fear or handle fear. Generally, we just think that we have to find a way of suppressing the fear or functioning anyway. And that's really not true, but it is also true. So I want to speak about the different levels. And when I think about transforming fear or transcending fear, it's really a very deep way of processing it that leads to you not having fear, you not experiencing fear. You can totally and completely release this from your system. When does this happen? It happens when the energy rises and you experience a higher consciousness level. For example, acceptance or love are higher consciousness levels. And when you really experience the energy of love or the feeling of being grateful, being in the flow, your sense of who you are expands and fear can just be there and you can just be aware and perceive it, and it dissolves. So I speak about this a lot because it's what happens in the individual sessions with me, that we connect to this kind of awareness, this kind of consciousness. And the way to do that is very, very simple, through just being aware, just witnessing the fear as something, breathing and allowing it to be there. And when this opens up something in you, the fear just disappears. But I also have this experience that when we are on a lower consciousness level, we resist the fear a lot. And then this kind of being aware, it just goes away thing doesn't work. Because our resistance makes the fear even stronger. So there's a different, let's say a less deep approach to being with the fear or handling the fear that has to do with moving the energy. And when we move the energy in our body, the sensation of fear and the experience of fear changes. So there is a million ways of doing this. One of them would be to just go for a run or do some sports. That definitely moves your energy. Doing some qigong, maybe those of you who know tapping the energy points like this. Well, there's a whole technique that is about tapping these points, and when you do that, it moves the energy in the body and it releases whatever's there. That's an option. Also, you can work with intentions and focus on the positive state or overcoming the illusion of the fear. The fear always tells you you cannot do something and it's not possible, and that will bring a negative result. So you can just create intentions of speaking in public with complete ease, or connecting with your audience and enjoying it, which would be like a positive energy, something moving the energy as you are with the fear, and it adds something different to your energy system and changes your experience. I often tell this my performance and performing artists and musicians that I work with, that it's really important to create a we when we are with our audience, and that we enjoy this community, this common experience. And we can do this while we have fear, and our intention to create a we, create an us, is really very strong and powerful. And another way of moving the energy is with positive input, searching out places, people, music, different kinds of sources of positive energy that will help you add different energy to your system, and that also moves the fear energy. And I always say that when nothing else works, you have to go to like the basic plan, like when you're really stuck and you resisted a lot and you don't know why, and it just won't ease no matter what you do. Then there's only one thing you can do, and that is surrender and accept. And it means that you accept the most negative consequence that the fear tells you might happen. So you would imagine the worst possible outcome, and then you feel what this makes, how this makes your body react, and you just keep saying, I accept this. If this is meant to happen, I can handle this. And you feel what happens in your body and how the experience of fear changes. And the most simple aspect of accepting the fear is just knowing that it's a part of you, but it's not all of you. And you can just be with the fear. You can perform while you have the fear. And the fear is just one energy level, and there are other energy levels that are present that you can also tune in. And for me, it's like imagining that the fear is a little child, which is a part of you. And this child screams and says, "Whoa, this is so scary." And what we generally do is we say, "Shut up, I don't want to hear you. I want to perform now, or I want to do this important thing, and you're just disturbing me." And what happens to a child when you scream at them and tell them to be quiet? They cry and they scream louder, or they throw a fit. They make themselves seen, so they don't go away. So the other day I read a quote from a book, Big Magic, from Elizabeth Gilbert, that shows this so beautifully. She explains how we can just be with the fear and invite the fear to be there, because we know it's not going to go away anyway. But we can say to the fear something like, "Creativity and I, we're going on a road trip. We're going to do this big thing, and you can come along, but you have to sit in the back, and you're not allowed to touch anything. You can't change the radio channel, but you can say what you think, or you can let us know, what is important to you in this moment, but under no condition you're allowed to drive." And I think this really sums it up beautifully. I think she says it with beautiful words. So maybe you want to look this up. If you Google it, it'll just show up as a quote on Google. So those are my thoughts about fear. Obviously, it's a deep theme, and there are many techniques we can use on the different levels of how we can surrender, how we can be with it, or of how we can move the energy. It's always about looking where you're at and what is possible for you in this moment. And we sometimes don't do anything and just get frozen because we can't do the whole thing. Like, we can't release the whole thing and then feel happy ever after. Sometimes we can do this, sometimes it's the moment, sometimes we can do this with help. But when we can't, we can do the small steps. And this was supposed to give you an idea about what these steps could be. Please comment, let me know what your questions are. I'm always happy to hear what's interesting for you. And I also want to invite you to try out my meditation about handling your biggest fear. You'll find the link in the description of the video. It's a free meditation. So I hope to see you around, hear you around, read you around, and I thank you for listening to me today. Bye for now.